Great. And am I host right now?
You should be able to share your screen.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Good deal, everybody. I'm so excited that you're all here today. And if you're watching the recording, thanks for watching the recording. For everyone live, I want to make sure that we track your questions. And so at the very bottom of your Zoom screen, if you click on participants, or no, I'm sorry, if you click on chat, you can type in your questions here. And Amanda is going to be monitoring those. And I have a couple different sections of content that we're going to go through. And then at the end of each of those, we'll have time for questions. So you don't have to save your questions till the end of these 2 hours. So that's another important thing. We're going to go until noon Mountain Time, about 2 hours from now. And please, no question is too small or too big, or everyone always says, oh, I feel so dumb about it. No, there's no stupidity in SEO. There's so much to know, and it's so complicated. So please don't feel bad about asking questions. Amanda, I'm wondering if you can go ahead and mute. Well, let's see. I think I'd have to be host, but I'd love it if you could mute everyone. Or if everyone, you can mute yourself, just in case there's like background noise or something. The video stays on me because it's hard to know what happens there. Yeah, great. Okay.
If you all will mute yourselves, that'd be great. And then if you do want to say anything, you can unmute yourself, and then I'm not precluding anybody from talking.
And they just click that mute button at the bottom left, right? That's
Yep.
Just click on that and it'll auto mute. Cool. Okay, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I'm gonna be moving back and forth between some slides and the internet. So let me know if things get a little glitchy. I know sometimes with Zoom, it can get a little strange, so just let me know. All right, who's ready? It's SEO yes time, people. I can't hear you say yes, so I'm just gonna have to assume you're all screaming with excitement.
Yes.
Yeah, that was enthusiastic. Awesome. All right, so here we go. We are looking at search engine optimization for small businesses. If you don't know me, I'm Amy Falcioni. I love tea. I design visual content. I'm an SEO geek, and I own Roscoe, who may make an appearance. Actually, he's in the chair behind me right now. This is Roscoe Rigatoni Falcioni. Yes, he has a middle name, and yes, he is sad that the curtains are kind of closed, but he's peeking out a little bit so he can monitor outside. Although I am a Montana native, I love not camping. I find this is a kind of funny thing because a lot of people love to be outside and spend the night outside, but I don't love it because there are bears out there. Legit grizzly bears, right, Montanans? I mean, this is a real thing that like people make documentaries about, and it's terrible, so I don't do it. I also created a speaker series here in Bozeman called 406 Creatives. It's free and it's once a month, and one day when we can get together again, I'll be running it again. It's always at the library. It's 1 hour, and they're a ton of fun. All right, so here's our agenda for today. We're going to go through these individual sections, some fundamentals, then how to do your keyword research. Then we'll do some on-page SEO. That's where to put your keywords on your website. I'll show you my SEO audit process. We'll go through how blogging and backlinks help your SEO. And then last, how to track your SEO success. Again, if you have questions, please ask them, throw them in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end of each section. So first off, SEO fundamentals. Now, first point in all of SEO is that it's the long game. It's not something that you can expect to change overnight. I just had a client this week ask if his website that deals with medical services and wants to respond to this crisis can expedite themselves getting ranked higher. Answer, no. Everyone wants to rank higher, right? So it can take 3 to 6 months to reflect any changes that you've made on your site or any blog posts that you put out to have Google rank them appropriately. So don't expect anything to happen any sooner than that. And today, if you only take away one thing, it's you have to make great content. What is content? That's articles, that's photos, that's video, that's all the stuff that you have on your site or your blog. And this, this goes into your social media too. You want it to be great so that people respond to it and they, reach out to you to purchase your product or your services or book with you or whatever. You could have the best technical SEO. You could somehow find a way to have people link back to you. But if your content isn't great, people aren't going to buy from you. So what isn't SEO? It's not a strategy in and of itself. It's not a magical marketing solution. A lot of people think, oh, cool, I'm going to get my SEO locked in, got my keywords, I'm blogging. I'm just going to sit back and wait for all those customers to roll in. No, that is not going to happen. And it's also not set in stone. What it is a tactic within your marketing strategy. So it's something that you're going to use within, your business goals, your funnels. Katie Smith, who's on this call, can talk to you about funnels and get you set up with those. SEO is also mysterious. Google doesn't, share all the tactics that they use to track sites. We figured some out with trial and error, but it's a little mysterious and it's constantly evolving, right? The search of 2003 is really different from the search of 2020. So if any of you are wondering, what even is SEO? What does it stand for? Search engine optimization. And it is the methods used by brands like you to rank highly in search results. And when I'm talking about search, I'm talking about Google. Google has about 87% of all global search traffic. There's Bing in there and a couple other tools. I think Yahoo is still in there, but Google is by far the leader in search. Remember way back when? 2001, maybe even before that, when you would search on the internet, capital I, the World Wide Web, right? This is what it looked like. You got these search results that what we now call organic search results. It was just links back in the day. Now, there's a ton of different results that you could get depending on the term that you include, that you search for. So like if I am looking for loose leaf tea, which I always am, I'm going to get, shopping search results over to the right-hand side here. And I'm going to get ads also. And then I'm going to get organic results below that. If I search for local things like pizza near me, I'm going to get this list of local search results. This is called Snack Pack. Isn't that fun? Fun fact. This is called Snack Pack. And then below that, I'll get organic results. There might be ads included in this too, depending on what you search for. But I use Chrome, and actually I think this is just a thing not native to the browser, but it's within Google itself. It broadcasts your location. If you scroll way, 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 way down to the bottom of the page, whatever your search results are, it's showing that I am searching from Bozeman, Montana. I could get more specific by clicking this, but I get a little creeped out about what Google knows about me. So I just keep it as general as possible. If you're searching for something related to travel, like booking a canoe trip on the Upper Missouri River, this is actually one of my clients, you'll get her local Google My Business page over to the right. I see one organic result at the top here, and then all these videos. So Google knows that I'm looking for, some kind of interactive piece, or if there's interactive content out there, it's going to show it to me. And she is ranking at the #2 organic spot down here. So that's really good. What are the ranking factors that Google uses to, index every page? How does it decide what it's going to, what it's going to use and how it's going to rank every page? About 2 years ago, Google said, an employee from Google kind of let it leak that they use 200 different factors when ranking websites. Then Bing, in all their wisdom, a week later used this as a marketing tactic, and they said, oh yeah, Google? Well, we use 1,000 factors. And then a week later, Google said, oh, well, when we said 200, we forgot to mention that there are 50 different variants for each factor. So it's more like 10,000. And then I don't know if Bing responded or if it was quiet. But the point is, that's a lot of different factors. 10,000 factors on a single site. That's a lot of things. And we don't know all of them because that's, you know, Google's trade secret. But like I said, we know some of them. A few of the key ranking factors are things like content quality. Just talked about how important that is. On-page SEO. That's the tactics that you use on your page to put your keywords into certain areas. Backlinks. These are links from external sites that are pointing to your site. Your organic click-through rate. So that's how often people are clicking on your website in a certain search result. Your domain authority, this is calculated a lot of different ways, but this there's a lot of factors that go into that, like your click-through and how many backlinks you have. Your mobile usability, that's an important one. You want to make sure that your website is mobile friendly. And then I just included this one because I like this phrase, dwell time. How long are people spending on your site? And this is the Google ranking factors, they're kind of like a scoring system. That's how I think of it. So, you know, mobile usability might be, you know, one value in Google scoring. Backlinks are definitely a higher scoring. So not all of them, you don't get 1 point for each of these things. Some of them are weighted higher than others. So today I'm going to talk about these top 3, your content quality, your on-page SEO, and your backlinks. So what makes great content? You want to make sure that your content satisfies your searcher's intent. So what does that mean? My client, the Upper River Canoe Guides, they thought, oh, well, we want to rank for the word canoe when we started talking about their SEO. That's too vague of a term, because if the person who puts in the term or the word canoe, they could be looking for a lot of different things, right? Maybe they want to buy a canoe. Maybe they want to just look at different pictures of a canoe. Maybe they want to build their own canoe. So vague terms are not going to serve you because the searcher intent behind it is too vague. So we agreed on things like, you know, Upper Missouri River canoe trip, that her website is going to satisfy that intent because it equals what that person is looking for. You also want to make sure your website is easy to navigate and read. That might be pretty obvious, but I still find a lot of websites, even in this town, that are just hard to get through. It's hard to find what I'm looking for. And then last, make it nice to look at, make it pleasant as well. So a couple great examples. This company's called the Beta Brand. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but they make Hello Dress yoga pants. I own a pair. They're awesome. This is not an affiliate link or anything. They're just really comfortable and fantastic. But when I heard about dress yoga pants, I was like, yeah, right. They're not going to be that dressy. So I went to their site and I could look through, you know, all their photos, all their different styles. It was easy. It was exactly what I was looking for. And it was really nice to look at. Another great, more local version is, this is Sierra Krinke's website. She owns Digital Box Designs. A bunch of you probably know Sierra. And in full disclosure, she and I are working together. I'm doing her SEO for her sites. But I love how she designed this site. I think it's so clean and easy to use. And when I get to her homepage, I see Squarespace web design, Squarespace SEO, and copywriting. Boom. If I'm looking for Squarespace, you know, any kind of thing, I know exactly what she does, and I can click around. A not so great example of content. This is so funny. This is the Yale School of Arts website. And so they're artists, right? They're creative people. They maybe don't want to, you know, make a dull website or a conventional website. But this I find obnoxious. Like, it's really hard to use. It's hard to read. Where do I even go? But they've got the name recognition, and it's not like people are not going to apply to their school because of their website, but not everyone has that luxury. And so I think, you know, a smaller, lesser known artist or art school would have a harder time using this as their website. So make sure your site satisfies those three ideas around content quality. All right, so before we get to keywords, I want to see if anyone has questions. So I'm going to stop share and go to the chat, and let's see. No questions. No questions? All good? Everybody good? Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, we've got a lot of people on. Awesome. Cool. All right. Let's jump into keyword research. Okay. This one, let's see. Where are you? All right. So how do we find the right keywords for our business? It's not as hard as you might think. Like I said before we started recording, I did send out a worksheet, and that worksheet is available here on my website, bigpicturemarketing.co/SEO-yes. If you have it downloaded or if you have it printed, feel free to take notes. We're not going to have time to fill it all out, but you can definitely take notes and then finish it up later. Sorry, I keep flipping back and forth between these. All right, so your friend in keywords is going to be your Google Search Console. So hopefully you've set up your console, and you've got it connected to your website. This can get a little technical. If you're having trouble, definitely reach out to me, or you can go to Google's own search help. But the reason why you want Google Search Console is because it gives you a sense of the keywords that you're ranking for now. And then in the future, after you make changes to your site, you can go back and see what's changed in terms of your ranking for those keywords. The first thing that you want to do on your Google Search Console page, if you haven't already, is to submit your sitemap. Generally, your sitemap is an auto-created tool, and it's usually yoursitename.com. So this is like wildpathconsulting.com. That's Katie's URL /sitemap.xml. If you're using Squarespace or WordPress, this is going to be your sitemap URL. If you're using any other content management system, or maybe you have a custom built site, it might be something else, but you can, search around just depending on what your what your content management system is. So I'll just show you where to put that in under your Search Console. So once you log in to Search Console, then you can go over here to the left and click on Sitemaps, and then just enter it right here, and then it's successful. Google might find your sitemap itself, but this is just a faster way for you to get it to start reading it. So you're going to submit your sitemap, and then you're going to look at what terms you're currently ranking for. So how to do that is in this performance tab, I guess, off to the left. So if I click on performance, this is for that uppermissouri.com. It defaults to this clicks and impressions view. And then I like to click on average position, and I don't really care a lot about impressions. So I like to reveal the average position. And then if you scroll down, you can see which terms you're currently ranking for, or that Google is finding on your site. Again, it defaults to rank it by, sort it by the clicks that are going to your website. I like to sort it by position and list from highest to lowest. I start with first page. So first page is anything from position 1 through 10, and then anything above 10 goes on to that next page. So that's how I like to use Google Search Console. One thing I forgot to mention is that if you make any changes, when you make changes to your site, because after today you're going to put in all these great keywords and you're going to, you know, make all of your images, all your image names, you know, compliant and all that stuff. You'll go into this URL inspection, click on that, and then paste in every URL that you changed. So every page on your website that you changed. So like Upper Missouri River is gonna have, they have like a contact us, about us, all those things. So you go in and paste that in. I'll show you an example of that. So we'll go to,
Amy,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I think we are only seeing your slide.
Oh, shoot.
If you're clicking around in your.
Amazing. Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yes. Oh, because I didn't show my desktop. Ooh, do I want to show my desktop? Yes, I do. Don't judge me. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Thanks for letting me know, Amanda. Can you all see my browser? Yes. Cool. Okay. So what I just did with Google Search Console, so this is, again, uppermissouri.com. I went into sitemaps, and this is where you submit that sitemap. And then if you want to look at your performance and see which keywords you're ranking for, click on performance on the left. And then I click on average position and I scroll down. And then I can see which terms are currently bringing in the most clicks. I want to see what position she's on for different keywords. And so that's that 1 through 10 is on page 1, and then after that is on page 2, etc. Cool. And then here is where you'll put those extra, when you'll click on, a URL inspection on the left and put in any pages that have changed, and you'll submit them. So I will go to her, let's say we updated, you know, her trip page or something, planning a trip. And so maybe I changed her title here, maybe I changed the text. So I'm going to copy that link, go into the inspection tool, and you hit enter. And then it says, okay, I'm scanning it. And then it'll say, yep, your URL's on Google, everything looks good. Did you change the page here? Click request indexing. And then it's testing it again. And then it'll say, yep, all good. And start the index process. It doesn't usually take a minute, but it can take a second. So I'm just going to cancel that. But if you see any issues in here, a lot of times after you sign up for Google Search Console, I know Google My Business is like this too, you get a ton of emails about, oh, change this, this isn't working. Don't panic. You can always Google the phrase that they send you if there is a problem. A lot of times with content management systems especially, there's pages that are designed to not show up in Google, like a categories page of your blog, or like login pages for blog posts, or a lot of things like that. So don't worry if you get emails about any kind of coverage issues. I mean, some of them are that, you know, you want to address them, but most of them don't panic. All right. So back to the slides here. So also on the keywords worksheet, you know, before you really start digging into the keywords that you want to target, you want to think about your business goals. That's, you know, your audience. Who are you trying to reach? And what is their intent, right? What are they trying to find? What do they want to do on your website? Now, if you're trying to attract a national audience, you have to start blogging. This is a mandatory thing if you want to be a competitor on the national scale. Locally, I still believe that blog is going to help you, and it's certainly going to be better for your SEO, but it's absolutely mandatory if you are trying to reach that national audience. This is a pretty general division of SEO in terms of dividing it between local and national. You know, there's a lot of different subcategories within that, but I just wanted to be sure to touch on that before we keep going. All right, so then on that worksheet too, there's one thing, you know, there's things that your customers want to accomplish on your website, but what do you want them to do? Or what do you need them to do? Are they buying a product from you? Are they calling you? Are they scheduling online? What do you need them to do? And then how easy is that? It has to be obvious and it has to be simple. How many times have you yourself gone on a website in Bozeman and they don't have their hours? They don't have their location. It blows my mind. These are such simple things to include, but make it simple. I feel like so many people are just relying on their Facebook page as their website, and that might have been okay 5 years ago, but it's not going to, you know, work. All right. So how do you find your keywords? Start with your competition. This is a not at all secret of SEO success. Find who's ranking for the keywords that you want, and then see what other keywords they're ranking for. This is how blogs work. This is how big brands do it. You're not copying their content. You're just looking at what keywords that they're searching for, and modeling your site after that. So a free tool that I've used in the past is called ubersuggest.io. And it's a tool made by Neil Patel. He's an SEO expert. And so it's going to redirect to his websites, neilpatel.com/ubersuggest. So don't panic when it redirects to his site. And I'm going to show you. Hey, Kelly Lewis, you're on this call right now. All right, I got to say, we sent out yesterday a form for anybody who registered before yesterday if they wanted a live SEO audit. And so I had a couple responses, and I know it's hard to get, you know, put your website out there and have it evaluated. So I just want to thank a couple of people who did that. And Kelly didn't know that she was going to have a live keyword search for her site. Hey, Kelly, can you say hello to everybody real fast?
Yes, hello. Thank you for choosing. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And for those of you who don't know, Kelly moved here really recently. So Kelly, just know that Bozeman's a really awesome community. And we all can't wait to meet you in person when we can meet in person again. So
yes, thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, cool. So let's look at your keywords. Okay. So when you filled out the form, Kelly, you said that you are an attorney / government relations consultant. Cool. You want your visitors to contact you via your contact page or call you. You listed these keywords as your keyword ideas. Now, not trying to single you out or pick on you. Like I said, this is super common. When people start brainstorming their keywords, they usually go pretty general. So attorney, you don't just want to rank for attorney, right? Because that's a national search and it's going to be super competitive. And someone searching for attorney doesn't necessarily want, you know, a business law attorney in Bozeman, Montana. So you want to get more specific in your terms here. So let's see. What I did was I went to that Ubersuggest and I looked at your current keywords. Now I could have found this in Search Console too if I had access to your Search Console, which I don't. But let me just grab your website and let's see. So let's take a look at your website first so everyone can say, there's the website. Okay, cool. Katie Smith, I can see you in the thing. Can you see this website? Cool. Okay. So I'll head over to Ubersuggest and I'm going to type in your website. Again, this process you could do in Search Console first. And it's taking a second because I've got a lot of tabs open. Okay. And Neil has all these pop-ups and things that you have to close. He did recently, I mean, in the last 3 months, monetize this. So he has a free version that lets you see a little bit of information, but you do have to pay for more extensive stuff. And that's really true for a lot of SEO tools, but at least you can get something off of this. Okay, so I pasted in your website and now I'm scrolling down. It automatically goes to the traffic analyzer. And so I can see these first, or these 1, 2, 3, like 10 terms that you're ranking for. And I bet I have to pay if I click on this link down here. But I can at least see, you know, kind of how you're doing, get a sense right now. It sees, I'm not sure why, a couple terms, like oftentimes there's just weird terms on here because Google's just trying to figure out what your website is. But I don't see many of those keywords except for this one, Colorado real estate attorneys. So from that, I can see that there's, you know, the search volume, this is searches per month, is 170, which is a healthy number. Your position is number 38, that's on page 4. And any kind of search tool that you use or SEO tool that you use that gives you estimated visits or traffic, it's all an estimation. So you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. Google doesn't release this information. They're just making a guess. And even in Google Analytics, they still don't share all of their data with you. It's pretty maddening unless you buy ads. So even they say estimated monthly visits. So I just kind of disregard that. So if I look at Colorado real estate attorneys, I can click on that one. And looking at the top here, I can see, again, the good search volume. This is an important number, SEO difficulty. So again, this is kind of an estimate of how many backlinks you might need in order to rank for this, how much content you might need on your site. If this was like a 98, you don't want to try to go after this term because it's just going to be really challenging. I generally target things under 30. I prefer words under or terms under 20. And Neil here, this is actually what he looks like. He gives you this estimate of how many backlinks and a domain score of 60, a domain score that you'd need to rank on that page 1. So this is helpful information, again, just to, you know, kind of that long-term view. How hard is this phrase going to be to rank for? So let me go back to my slide here. All right, so we looked at your top, we went to Colorado, and then I started to, you know, look at Bozeman terms for you. And I looked at Bozeman attorney in Neil's tool. And that's still, you know, it's a pretty competitive term. It's 37 is the difficulty. So I'm not sure that that's specific enough for you and it's worth it for you. Maybe it is, and you're gonna, you know, churn out a bunch of content on your blog about being a Bozeman attorney. But I would get, you know, I would look at this term in his tool and just look at these associated terms here, look at that search volume, and then check that difficulty level to target those, you know, smaller, those lower difficulty terms. You might even get even more specific and do Bozeman business attorney, depending on, you know, what kind of industry you want to target. Because Bozeman attorney, again, it's a pretty broad term because there's a lot of different specialties within the law. This interestingly has Bozeman business attorney is a 36, so that's pretty high still. But maybe you really want to go after that. I don't know. But hopefully this gives you, you know, a sense of kind of how to get started on your terms and like digging into, you know, longer, more specific terms that you can start ranking for. Another thing you can do is just Google, right? Start searching, and in that suggested terms box, you'll get other ideas that pop up in that drop down. Okay. Next up. Hey, Kelly Lewis, you're on this call, Kelly Lewis. I saw you. Can you say hi to everybody?
That's still me though, right? Hi again.
Oh, duh. Kelly, I'm talking about Kelsey. Yes, hi. This I just told you. Research each phrase. Sorry, Kelly. Kelsey. Hey. Kelsey White, photographer here in Bozeman. So you get a live keyword search too. Hey.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for filling out the form. So she owns One Oak Photography here in town. And Kelsey, I want to tell you, the first thing that I saw when I went to your website is that you don't yet have the HTTPS. Whoops, not
Oh.
HTTP. You want just an S on the end of there. So that's that'll make your website secure, and it encrypts credit cards if you're getting any of that kind of information, email, name, credit card, payment stuff on the website. So it looked like maybe you're in Squarespace, but if you are in WordPress, those are easy things to change. Again, just Google how do I make my page HTTPS in whatever platform that you're using, because that is a signal. That's one of those ranking factors for Google. They prefer and rank higher sites with HTTPS in it.
Okay.
All right, Kelsey, now we are on to you. So again, so interesting, right? So this is so common with everyone. What keywords do you want to rank for? Just the single word Bozeman or single word wedding, those are too broad for people who actually, want your skills. They're going to be probably looking for Bozeman wedding photographer or Montana wedding photographer. So really, you're just combining some of these terms here. And no surprise to you, Kelsey, your space is somewhat competitive. But I did a little digging last night. I was creeping on David Klumpner because he ranks highly. And so let's go ahead and search Montana wedding photographer, and I'll show you the results. So I get the snack pack there at the top. But when I scroll down to the native or the organic results, Larry Stanley is first because, this is my theory, but it's got to be true. He has this website, montanaweddingphotographer.com. The actual URL, the text in your URL is another factor for Google, and it's looking at it and ranking it accordingly. So if we could all just be, Bozeman marketing person or, Bozeman yoga studio, that's fine. And that'll work. It gets a little boring, right? Because that's not the name of your business. But it's going to be very, very hard to knock him off that top link because he's got that URL. But hey, look who we got here, David Klumpner. So he's got number 2. So I went ahead and looked at his SEO. So his top words on Ubersuggest are fantastic, right? Montana photographer, pluralized, wedding photographers, Montana. Looks like he does shoots in Glacier. So he's got a lot of terms that he is ranking on page 1 for. So this is really excellent of him. So if I were you, I would look at his site, I would look at his text, I would be opening up his images in new tabs to see what his image names are, and just seeing really how he's structuring it, because he's got his SEO dialed in. So this is just one of your terms. I mean, it's like an expansion of one of your terms, Kelsey. You're not gonna just have Montana wedding photographer, but you might have bridal photography Montana, or I don't know what other words you want to target. Looks like you do portrait photography as well. But this is just one area that you can kind of dig into and get those longer keyword terms. All right, so I mentioned volume a little bit ago. Well, what volume do you want to look for? If you're doing a local or regional audience, find terms within that 50 to 500 range, that's searches per month. But if you're going for a national audience, look for 1,000 to 5,000 searches per month. Now, one funny thing about Montana, if you look up Bozeman wedding photographer, all these search tools will say there's no searches for that term because it's so small. but that doesn't mean that there are actually none. So if you really feel strongly about a term, as long as it's not like too out there or too niche, I would include it maybe as a secondary thing. But like obviously people are searching for Montana wedding photographer. So you can, have that as your top term, and then Bozeman is kind of a secondary thing that you sprinkle in. All right, that was your crash course in keyword research. So what questions do we have, Amanda?
We had 2 come in, and the first one was from Katie. What about website redirects? She has 3 redirects to her new website. Does that mess with indexing? And can I search the Google Search Console for each redirect or just the main page?
Excellent point. And a lot of people do this, right? They'll redesign the site or they'll rebrand, and then they have all these old links. What do you do with them? Don't just write over them or delete them, because that will harm your SEO. So Katie has what's called redirects, right? So maybe she had, are they from the Marketing Hat, Katie? Okay, so her old business was called, not old, previous business was called the Marketing Hat. So she's sending people, maybe she had the marketinghat.com/about, right? And so maybe people were linking to that or had come to that for different things. And she doesn't want people to get an error page that says this website doesn't exist anymore. So she's set up redirects that goes from that about page to her new about page. And that's a thing that you can do on the back end in any content management system. So Katie.
Hey, can I just give you more?
Yeah, please.
So I didn't really, I just, I bought a bunch of different, so I've got the marketinghat.com, and then I have followthewildpath.com is my main one now, but I also bought Wildpath Consulting. So, and it's all in WordPress. So like the main, so I just have all of these things purchased, and then the main, the thing that the website points to is followthewildpath.com. But I have all of these other, if somebody types in Wildpath Consulting, it goes to Follow the Wild Path.
Gotcha.
Marketing Hat. And so that's one of my questions is, did I do that correctly? Is that going to mess with my rankings?
It's not going to mess with your rankings. It won't help. I mean, I totally get why you did it. And I think that it's a smart thing to do in case people type in the wrong website. But it's because you're not going to have any content on those other URLs, right? Then it's not going to help your rankings. You're really focused on, the full followthewildpath.com in terms of your SEO. So no, it won't hurt, but just don't expect that it's going to help.
Okay.
So
it's
not
going to hurt it.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
No, it's not going to hurt it. But then, so if you were linking, well, you are linking from, older pages on the Marketing Hat, your old company. I would do that for about 6 months and then let those go, because everyone's going to start just going to your new website, your new URL. And Google's going to learn like, oh, all this traffic is dropping off of this old website. And now, you're going to be ranking for those terms on your new site. So you don't want to cut it off initially, which is not what you've done. You want to keep it going for, and I usually say about 6 months.
Okay.
Okay, Charlotte, I think she might have just answered your question, but Charlotte asked, how do you feel about pointing multiple domains to your site that are a more searchable term?
Charlotte, do you want to clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've always owned a handful of domains that are more literal, like what you were talking about when someone has like bozemanphotographer.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always wondered if I just make all those live and have them pointing to my website, is that going to help? Or kind of like you said, no, it's not going to help.
Well, it won't help necessarily in like the broader view of your SEO. But certainly it'll help, like Katie, was saying, like if they type in, Bozeman real estate agent or whatever your URL is, and then it redirects to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's a smart tactic to use if you had, the time and the resources to build out those other pages and like actually add content. Then that's what's going to help your SEO. If you're adding text and images and like really building them out into websites, they could be kind of like mini supporting websites, but what you don't want is the exact same content on both sites, because Google's going to get confused and it could be a negative ding on you if like, you're copying and pasting like from one site to the other. So if there's any way to, make one of them like the expert resource in all things about buying real estate in Bozeman, great, and then I guess that wouldn't then redirect, but you could have your own site kind of advertised on that site, like, talk to Charlotte. So just an idea, but yeah, you're not hurting yourself, but it's not going to be a huge help in SEO if you just have the domain that redirects to your site.
Okay. You won't come up, you might come up more if it's super literal, or Google doesn't like that.
You might, but because there's no like text on the page, right? It's just the domain.
Yeah.
I don't think it would really help that much.
Okay. Even though it leads to your site.
Right. Because there's just not anything on the page for Google to see. It has to have, like it needs more text. It needs text and images on the actual page for it to go, oh, I should be ranking this page for XYZ rather than just having the domain. The domain's one piece, but the rest of the site is, important too.
So the site basically only allows one domain that it's reading text from? Or Google's reading text on it?
So you have sounds like you have multiple domains. But yeah, if you're setting them all up to redirect, it's essentially going to see it as one site.
Got it. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for asking. Does anyone have any other questions that they want to speak out loud and unmute themselves and be brave and get excited? No? All right.
Amy, before you
Yes.
go, all of you can see this in the chat, but I just wanted to call out, Katie mentioned that Neil Patel has made more of Uber Suggest free this week to help people during this crisis. Katie, do you want to share any more of that? Like what more is free? That looks like foreign language to me at this point, because I haven't ever played with any of this, but if you have any more info you'd like to share about that, that'd be awesome.
Well, I pay for Uber Suggest, so I'm not sure what pieces of it are free. But I got an email that said that he was opening more of this keyword tool, or this tool for people to be free, so you can get more information. I think you can access every piece of it. If you saw Amy's screen, there's like the sidebar of all the things, but I think you can get deeper into the tool without paying for it. It's not very expensive either if you get super nerdy about it, but most people, I would maybe just have Amy do it for you. But if you wanted to play around with it, I just saw that he was making less of a barrier to use it, get in there and use it right now.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Thanks, Katie. All right, back to next step, where we're going to add text to your website. All right, so where are you going to put those keywords on your website and your Google My Business page? This is called on-page SEO. So phase one, you're going to evaluate your existing content. So you've got your keywords, you've got them all set, you've got them all locked in, you know what you're targeting, you know the right volume, the keyword difficulty is achievable, all those things are good. So now you're going to look at your content that you currently have, and you want to ensure that you have 500 to 800 words on every page. So Kelsey, I was looking at your site, and we'll do this in the live audit. Your beautiful photos are everywhere, which is awesome, but there's not text for Google to see and read. So target 500 to 800 words. I'm setting you guys a bit of a challenge here. SEO experts estimate that a minimum of 300 words is required, but I know you guys could do more. And more is going to be better in this case for Google. You don't have to do, 3,000 words. That at some point, it kind of doesn't matter anymore what you're saying to Google. But try to do 500 to 800. It's easier than you might think it is. You also want to include headers and subheads on your page. So those are, just within your text, you have, Montana wedding photographer, and then the description of the services that you provide. And then, maybe bridal, I keep saying that because that's the only thing I can think of, but like a subcategory, and that's in your H2 style. So your header is going to be in H1, and then the subheads are going to be H2. I have seen sites, I'm going to show you one, that only use H4. So you don't have to have that H1 style everywhere, but you do have to have some kind of header tag in your text. So Google can, look through and see kind of how you're dividing it up. You also want to make sure your titles and page descriptions are accurate. Your title is this text that's up here in the top of the tab. And then your page description is, it's also called a meta description. It's what's under your page results on Google. So page title and page description. You want to make sure that your image names include your keywords. And earlier this month, I was part of a website panel. We talked a little bit about alt tags, ALT tags. That's something that's a technical part of your images. And I've really had a change of heart with alt tags, because an alt tag is really something behind the scenes for a screen reader. So for people who are visually challenged, they read web pages with the help of a screen reader that's describing, what's on each page. So like this canoe trip, if I have my alt tag structured correctly, this will say, river and maybe river and cliffs, standing from a beach. I don't know. I'm totally slaughtering this one, but it's a descriptive bit of text about the photo. It doesn't say Missouri River Guides, plan your canoe trip today, because that's not going to be helpful for someone who can't see very well. From what I'm reading, and I totally agree with this, alt tags are going to be a non-factor for Google because so many SEOs have kind of abused that option. So put a description in your alt tags for people who can't read it without their screen reader, but don't necessarily put your, jam it full of your keywords. And last, as I mentioned before, this is kind of a plea for myself. Bozeman, can we just put our location information on there if it's relevant, right? If you have people coming to you, and your contact information too, your email or your phone or both of them. I want to give you my money, but I don't know where you are. All right, so now I'm going to take a look at, for on-page SEO, a WordPress client that I've had. This is Julie Manano. She is a counselor here in Bozeman. And she reached out. This was her, a screenshot of her old website. And her first text is, welcome to my website. I'm glad you're here. Nice sentiment, right? If you're looking for a counselor. But if you're Google, you think she wants to rank for the phrase, welcome to my website, which she does not. So we talked through a lot of, words and phrases that she'd like to rank for. I did my research on it. And this is the list that we settled on. So very similar words in here. All have Bozeman in them because she's obviously specific to this area. So let's look at her site. Okay, so now her site, and she redesigned it with the help of a third party, has this as her first text. EFT focused marriage and individual counseling for couples, adults, students, and teenagers. She wanted to include EFT focused. This is emotionally focused therapy, because that's, you know, a type of therapy that she does and she's certified in. But you can see how the difference here is gonna speak to Google in a much better way, right? Instead of welcome to my website, it goes immediately into, you know, listing her services. So then below, I also have a whole list of the exact, are they symptoms? Are they issues that she helps people deal with? Again, so Google can see it, and really for users, right? So the users can go, if they, you know, are depressed or they're anxious, someone's going to want to look for, someone's going to want to see those words, right? They kind of scan for whatever words they want to see on the site. And so we put those on there. Now my only, well, I wish that Julie had made this area, this text up here, into actual text, her name, and this is just an image. And Google can't see this text. It's just pixels to Google. So it's not tracking any of that in her SEO. So that's one thing that we didn't change, but I wish we could have changed. All right. So again, now Julie's site, we added those 500 to 800 keywords on, or words on her site, changed those headers and subheads. Her page titles and descriptions, I'll show you in 1 second, have her keywords in them. And then I changed all her image names so they include her keywords, and her location information is right at the top here. So how do you get a good view of your page titles, what shows up in the tab here, and your page descriptions? I'm going to show you you just type in the word site, S-I-T-E : and then paste in your URL. Don't put a space in there. And so this shows you every page on your site that Google is seeing. And you have the added bonus of seeing what your page titles are and what your page descriptions are. So when I first met with her, this was just pulling, these descriptions were just pulling from text on her page because she hadn't gone in and changed those. So that's what Google will do. It'll find whatever text you have and it'll try to guess what a good description would be. But you want to go in to your content management system and make sure your keywords are in there so you can see, like Bozeman counselors and therapists, make an appointment today. She has that benefit of having her keywords in her name. But again, see, I put Bozeman, Montana in her description, even though Bozeman's in up here on that first line. Bozeman counselor, I tried to put Bozeman counselor into every single one of these. So just kind of repeating, trying to change it up a little bit, and while still trying to be descriptive of what content is actually on the page. All right, so then we saw the new one. I'm gonna hold right there before I continue on and see if there's any questions. Amanda, you wanna hit us with some questions?
Yes. Okay, so this one's from Hannah. Her organization has a PO box and a mailing address. They use the PO box more for contact info, but their physical location is on their Google business page. Does that mess with their ranking?
Hannah, do you have, so Google often pulls location information from your Facebook page. So is it consistent, if you have a Facebook page, is it consistent on your Facebook page?
I'd have to check again. I think we have our PO box on our Facebook.
Okay, make those the same because that it will, you know, be a ding in your rankings if they're different.
And so if it shows up like on a contact page and then we also have it in the footer, just try to make all three of those.
Yeah, exactly. Use the same
the Google business page as well.
Right. Yeah, use the same one everywhere.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, then this one is from Jen. For metadata, is it okay to use someone else that is famous? Like Tony Robbins has a book that we reference a lot. can we use his name for metadata or Dave Ramsey, or is that considered unethical in any way?
Do you want to rank for Tony Robbins? Jen?
Sorry, I had to figure out how to unmute. That book, I guess, specifically Unshakable, I would, as we're trying to build a more national following and audience, I wouldn't mind ranking for that book specifically, not necessarily Tony Robbins, but
I guess, yeah, so I'm going back to kind of that searcher intent. So is someone who searches Tony Robbins' book Unshakable, who ends up on your website, how are they going to be satisfied by the content that you're providing? Can they buy the book? Can they check out the book from you? You know what I mean? If they're searching that phrase, how is what you're sharing satisfying them?
So one of our blog posts is about the 7 recommendations that Tony makes within that book of asking any advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And it lays those 7 questions out, and then the responses in which that pertain and how we fit into those questions. So we can talk about this more offline because I feel like it's so specific, but I guess I've read 2 conflicting views from the standpoint of metadata of trying to capture a wider audience by utilizing somebody else's name, and that not being ethical. And I would just like your expert opinion on how you feel about that.
Sure. So, I mean, I know you're not doing this, but if you were plagiarizing part of his book and posting it online, obviously not ethical. But if you are like implementing his strategies, that's a different story. Whether or not, I mean, if you're making money off it, I don't know if he would, or his team would eventually send you a message and say, hold on, you're making money off my name. This isn't great. I would do it more on like how your services are unique and how, you know, you're helping people in these very specific strategies. By the way, we are influenced by Tony Robbins, but we're not like selling ourselves as the Tony Robbins strategy people. So
Okay.
It's kind of a fine line. I see it as a gray area, but I wouldn't put his name in like on your list of keywords.
Okay.
It's too broad, and he has a large legal team that I wouldn't want to trigger. Hope that helps.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, you are so welcome. All right. So I'm going to jump back into the presentation, and we're about an hour in. We're halfway done, and I see you guys getting up. That's totally fine if you got to get up, jump off, do whatever, do your thing. I totally understand. So now that we've done the evaluation of the page, we're actually going to go in. I'm going to show you in WordPress and in Squarespace how to actually edit your pages and get those keywords into certain areas of your site. So WordPress. If you don't know, if you've never been into your website, hopefully you've been into your website if you have a website, because this is going to be super technical. But if not, I'm hoping you can follow along. I'm going to log into that bozemanTherapyandCounseling.com and close out my other tabs. So from your dashboard here, you can go into your pages. And your site might be structured a little bit differently from this. You might have your website set up as blog posts, I don't know, but get to the, you know, page where you can see all of your different links. And so, for example, I'm going to scroll down to her homepage. By the way, I have her permission to be showing you all this stuff, in case anyone is wondering. Again, the top of this page is going to look probably pretty different depending on how your site is structured. But the plugin that you want on your site is called Yoast SEO. There are several of them. I like Yoast because it's generally kind of default, and I find that's easy for people to use. So it might be closed up like this when you first find it. I'm gonna expand it. And the first thing that I do is add in that title, page title, and the page description. So if you click on edit snippet, that's where you can, edit that text. So I like to structure my page titles with my primary keyword first, and then some kind of like colon or dash, or I don't even know what this character is called, that little vertical divider thing, and then secondary keyword. I did 3 here just because I kind of wanted to experiment and see what 3 sets of keywords would do. And I definitely wanted to have Bozeman, Montana in there because people searching here, or if they're not here but looking for a counselor when they get to Bozeman or whatever, that's going to be important to include. So then our meta description, I try to put those keywords first. I try to start, as much as I can with those keywords. So Bozeman counselors. So instead of saying like, our practice consists of 3 certified counselors in Bozeman, Montana. It's like too far away for my comfort level. I want Google to see it, right away in those first, second, or third word in the description. And let's see, that's all about that. How quickly is that going to update? It can be pretty quickly. Again, you're going to put each page into Google Search Console and have it re-index each one. And I've seen it happen immediately, but sometimes it takes it a long time to reflect those changes. So back to your individual pages. So let's see, well, I can do it on the home page here. So again, your WordPress page is going to look a little different, but if you can get into the text, you're going to want to add your H1 or H2 or whatever headline style you like to relevant areas and put those keywords into your headlines. Again, put it into your body text as well. You want to work it in so it's easy for a human to read and it makes sense and it doesn't feel like it's just keywords stacked on top of each other. But you got to phrase it in a way that Google can also find it. So that's why you want to kind of hire someone to figure out how to do that. You can do it on your own. It's just going to take a little bit longer to kind of, figure it out. Let's see if I can get into her photos. So then images, if you get into, let's see, is it under attributes? I usually work in Squarespace, so that's why I'm not. No, this is just style stuff. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm not going to hunt it down, but image names, you want to go in, find where your images are located, and then put your keywords into those image names. So for example, where are you, image? So yeah, let's go back to the home page, and I can, if I right click on any image and open it up in a new tab, at the very end of the link, and this might be like going off the page, so you have to scroll all the way to the right, you can see the file name. So this is a file name, usually it ends in .jpg sometimes, or png, depending if it's a JPEG or a PNG, but Google will look at that title of the image and consider that in your SEO. So again, you can see that I didn't put her name first, I put Bozeman Counselor first. I have here the checklist, this is on your worksheet, the checklist of all the places where you want to add all your keywords to on your page. And I think I covered all of those. So before I get on to Squarespace, let's talk about questions that you have for WordPress.
So one of the first questions, Charlotte actually sent a screenshot. She said, what if it appears like this? Is it better to edit and start with keywords? So if you go into your chat, Amy, you should be able to grab that screenshot.
Okay. Downloading. Yep, so Charlotte, you want to click on, oh, that's fine. That's fine. So I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Sorry, everybody. So she has this structure, which is totally fine. Now, if I look up here, this is your actual title and this is your description. This structure down here is, it's not going to pull in as much detailed information as you could be putting in yourself. So if I were you, I would click on edit snippet here and add another keyword or two, you know, maybe, yeah, what would I do? About is tough because you want to, show users that they're on your about page, but I want it to be like, Bozeman Real Estate about Charlotte & Co. Right? So I'd rather have your keyword first and then what the page is and who you are after that. All right, does that help, Charlotte?
Sorry, I realized I was muted. Yes, thank you. So you would so that's just basically auto polling from other areas, how it's currently set.
Yep. Yeah, but if you click on that edit snippet, you can get more detailed.
Okay, so you just put that at the very beginning, like Bozeman Real Estate.
Exactly, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question is from Kelsey White. She uses a program for blogging that imports into her WordPress. Through that program, she enters the SEO title of the blog and meta description. Does she still need to enter all of that under the Yoast SEO section?
Interesting. Well, let's just take a quick look. Kelsey, let's see. I'm going to do that site : HTTP. Oops. And I'm going to look and see what it's pulling in from your third-party software. So if this looks consistent with what you've typed in or what it's pulled in, then great, it's doing a great job. But if you're not seeing, the right text here, then something is funky.
Okay.
That was like not helpful at all.
Well, it's just for my blog posts, not my main pages.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll
Okay.
have to
Well,
look through the blog.
yeah. So dig in and see, and yeah, check on that and see if it's pulling it in the right way.
Would it be bad to do double it? Like to do it in the Yoast and then when it's imported through that blog thing? Would that override?
It's only going to choose one of it. I mean, you could see which one is actually in the file because it might be populating that in a plugin somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't. It shouldn't. I've never seen two. Right. I've never seen two titles, but I would stick if it's looking good. I would stick with what you got.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I think this looks more like a comment, but for creative women leaders, just stated, I believe in WordPress, you can go to media, find the file, and have the file info, file equals images.
Yes, that is totally true. Thank you. That's Diana, right? Diana? Creative women leaders? Yes, Diana. Okay, good. All right, good. So any WordPress users, go into your media and find your images, and that's how you can change those title names. Now on to Squarespace. Okay, so I'm going to show you uppermissouri.com and talk you through those same areas that we just looked at in WordPress and how to change them on Squarespace. Did you know, Squarespace users, if you're on your website and you just press escape, that it'll log you in or take you into the login screen to get to your backend? It's a really nice trick. All right. So again, I'll show you just a couple things so we don't take up too much time here, and it's taking a little bit to load. I think maybe people are waking up and getting on Netflix or something. Not you guys, just, you know, internet users. So I logged in and went to my pages in Squarespace. Now, if I'm gonna change my page title and page description, it's this gear icon to the right of each page. Oops, and it just died. All right, so once I open up that gear, I can see SEO over on the left. And this has conveniently a field for your title and your page description. Now, I always fill in page description here, but I don't put title in here because it's covered right here. So if you have something here, it's going to pull it in here. If you want to duplicate it and have it in your SEO, I don't know why you'd want that, but you could do it in both places, but at least have it in one of them. One thing about Squarespace designs is that you can have what's called folders or indexes. So for example, this home page is what's called an index, and it's actually made up of several different individual pages. And that's done so that you can have more style control over like backgrounds, adding background images and things. But if you don't turn this feature off, Google will see all of these pages as individual pages. So I don't want this testimonial page or like the top of this, like this photo, I don't want that to be its own page. So I'm going to click in here to that gear again. And I'm going to go to SEO, and I clicked already on hide page from search results. So this tells Google if it, you know, when it's scanning the internet, basically, don't rank this page. I don't want this to be a search result that people see. So that's an important thing to remember. Now, images in Squarespace are very similar, where you just want to, well, you want to find the image and put the keywords in there, because I just have such a hard time finding stuff in WordPress. That's why I generally don't use it. But if you click on a page, and this is going to be really slow to load, sorry about this, everybody. But I, you know, went in and double clicked on that image, and you can see that this file name has not yet been updated. I think this was actually added right after I made my edits. So a lot of times this is what you'll see in a file name, right? That's just what your phone or whatever camera you're using names it as. So I'm going to actually change this right now to Upper Missouri River Guides Canoe Trips. And I apply it. And then again, it might, I would not just make one small change like that typically, but I would go back into Google Search Console, resubmit the page for indexing. And then if I come back, maybe today, maybe not for a while, hopefully that image is ranking for those terms. I can immediately right click on that image outside of, you know, the Squarespace editing window and see what that page title is. So it was this one. Well, I'm in the editing window, but that's just a trick so you can see if it kind of stuck, because sometimes it doesn't like to make it stick and you have to do it a second time. All right, so we're at 11:30 now. I'm gonna skip ahead and well, let me just double check if there's any Squarespace questions. Looks like there might be one that came through.
We have a couple. The first one is it a problem if your website designer used images for all your text?
Yes, Kelly Lewis, I'm getting to we're going to do your live site audit. Yes, right now.
Okay.
And so Google does not see any text in images. It only sees it as an image. So you are going to want all of that text on images as text.
Okay. Thank you.
And then last question that came in, is there a Yoast equivalent in Squarespace? Dana is asking.
So there's not a Yoast equivalent because Squarespace doesn't use plugins, but that field that I just showed you, when you click on that gear icon, that is the equivalent of Yoast in terms of putting in your text. Yoast also gives you like an analysis of your page. I haven't found a lot of use in it. Maybe people love it and can speak more to, finding a lot of value in it. But I like to, just Google it and use Search Console and other tools to see how the SEO is doing. Okay, let's get to that live audit. Okay, Kelly Lewis, thank you for raising your hand to go through a live audit. That could be a scary thing. So let's go to your website, KLH Advisors. And yes, the first thing I was going to tell you when I looked through your site is, oh man, all of this text is an image, and I'm just clicking on these images and dragging them around. That's how I can tell that it's a text and it's not an image. I mean, it's an image and not text. If I scroll down here and I click on this text and start dragging my cursor around, I can see that it's highlighting it as text and it's not an image. So I need you to contact your person or figure out another way to get this as text, because you're losing all of these keywords on here. Google's just not seeing them. All right, so let's go back to and do your review of your page titles and page descriptions. These are all of your pages. It looks like you have about 30 results of things that Google is seeing. Now, obviously you haven't done all of your keyword research and figured out, what you want to rank for. So you're going to be adding those in here. But things like this page is about, you don't need that, right? You're losing 4 words on here that you could be, packing with your keywords. So you can say, Kelly is a, business lawyer, or Montana business lawyer, Kelly Lewis, operates in Denver, Colorado as well. I don't know. But you don't need kind of those filler words at the front. On your, see, what page is this? So I can't see what this page is because maybe the URL is really long. I'm not sure. But it looks like this is just getting pulled from the text itself. And you want to go in and compose your own description for that page. Generally looking through, you have your name on here. I think that's fine, especially, once people find out about your business, they're going to type in your name to find you. So certainly you want to, continue to have that. But again, I would put your primary keyword first, and then your dash, and then secondary keyword or explaining what the page is, and then your name. Or if you just want to do, primary here and then your name, that's fine too. So going back to your actual site, I was looking at your blog. Now, I'm not trying to call you out here because every website is in progress all the time. I get that. But I see you've got a blog post from February of this year. And when I click on it, it's actually just a link to someone else's, is this a Facebook post? Or maybe a Twitter link?
Maybe. I
LinkedIn?
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I love is that you're trying to say, I'm interested, I'm educated about this field. but this isn't serving you at all in your SEO because there's no text on this page for Google to read. You know, you don't have that 500 to 800 words of text on here. And so what you could do is like write a summary about this, or just say like your takeaways from this and link to it. I like that you're linking to it. That's those external links, we call those outbound links, are also really helpful for your SEO. If you're sending your followers to you know, reliable, helpful websites, that's going to help your SEO. But I'd like to see kind of your thoughts on this and how this information is helpful for you.
Okay.
Did you have any specific questions? I should have asked that first about SEO on your site.
No, I mean, this is really helpful. I think I had no idea that images wouldn't show up. So that's obviously a huge problem because I had all this text and I think half of it's not even showing up. And yeah, obviously my blog, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's really helpful to know that my blog needs to focus on the keywords. Not that I've done any blog posting yet. So that's something obviously I need to get.
It's in progress, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is very much in progress. I just had this done. So yeah, I think that's helpful. Very helpful.
Cool. Good. Well, good. Yeah. So all of these, yeah, I see them as images, which is kind of like, oh man, that's such a bummer. But it's a relatively easy change because you have all the text written. That's always the hardest thing about websites is writing text.
Yes.
All right. So moving on to our next volunteer, Kelsey. We've got your OneOak photo. And again, I know I already talked about it, but get that S in your URL, HTTPS. We just looked at this, but let's take another look. Whoops. Sometimes it'll do it without the HTTP on it. Okay, so I think very similar, you know, you want to structure your page titles with your primary keyword and then a secondary keyword, which might just be your business. That's totally fine. You know, we often see this just about FAQ, investment, fine, and that was best practice for a while, but what'll give you an advantage is if you put your keywords in there as well. Now, you had the WordPress plugin just for your blog, but not for your individual pages. So yeah. I'm going to encourage you to, you know, rewrite these descriptions based on those keywords that we're looking at and other ones that you're going to research. And, you know, things like, I'm assuming this is actually pulling in from your FAQ page.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so, you know, push that Bozeman wedding photographer, Montana wedding photographer up there, but you still want to have kind of a personal feel to it, right? It seems like you're a fun person and you're excited, and you still want to have that flavor of yourself in there. This is the challenge, while, you know, speaking to Google in the way that it wants to be talked to.
Yeah.
So, you know, play with it, see what you can do, and, you know, in 3 to 6 months, if you're not loving it, go in and change it. That's totally fine. Now, on your individual site, as we mentioned, there's just not quite enough text for Google to read. So you've got these lovely, lovely images. I love that you have a video here. That's great. I just wish that there was more text on here describing your services for Google. Okay. Now, in terms of usability, I personally find like this black on the dark green hard to read. So I would make that text white if possible, or a light gray, okay, or just change the background of that. And same with this here, I would increase the contrast.
Okay.
And then I don't know if it's because I'm over 40, but I find these buttons here very, very small.
Okay.
So if I were you, I would bump them up. But again, maybe that's just me. I think you're doing a really nice job again with your blog. Your images, you're highlighting your images really well. And I think anyone who's looking for a wedding photographer, you know, or a portrait photographer, or engagement, whatever, these are really stunning shots, and you have them laid out in like a really clear way. Again, even on your main blog page here, put the 500 to 800 words. So
Okay.
talking about, I love working with this type of couple, or just those different kind of services that you provide.
Okay.
And I, of course, clicked on the first one because there's a dog in there.
That one's not finished.
Oh, it's not? Well, they look fantastic. But again, so a summary of, what you did, what they wanted, maybe a little bit about them, but you want those keywords in here, and you need to have that text so Google can, pull you in for those kind of searches.
If you click on the other one,
Okay,
I have a question
sure.
about like laying out the blog for SEO. Yeah, that one right there.
Okay.
I've written in that one. So as far as like the title and stuff goes on that, is that kind of set up pretty well?
Let's see. So is this the title here?
The second one down is I guess the first one is the title and the second one down is in the actual blog post. Interesting.
So I would guess that it's going to actually look up both of these, and which might be a little confusing.
Okay.
I do like that you have Bozeman, Montana and photographer. This will throw it off because it's in between these two.
Okay.
So I would not have highlight in here. But again, like thinking about your users, gosh, maybe it's like Bozeman, Montana photography highlight session.
Okay.
And then this is more about engagement session in the, I don't know if this is summer, like evening summer light, or engagement photography session, so it's like a subcategory of that top category.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I don't mind that you have two headlines here, but I would like for them to be a little bit different.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And one other little design tip, centered text, especially in a longer block, is actually harder for our eyes to read, because our eye wants to pull back to the same point at left every single time. So I would actually left align this. You could keep your title center, see if it looks weird or not. But particularly when you have those 500, 800 words, you're going to want to left align it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, that was very quick and dirty. I didn't go through all the things that I would normally do in an audit, like checking if her image names have keywords in it, doing a real dig onto each page and see, how each page is structured. But I hope that kind of gives you a sense of how I evaluate different pages. All right, so what questions can I answer on page audits?
Katie is wondering if we get really excited and write a bunch of content and blogs this weekend and then publish them all, should we backdate them? How much does the date matter for SEO, but also for the website user?
So dates in and of themselves aren't, if you're competing with someone else for the same topic, the newer one might actually rank lower if there's been a bunch of backlinks to the old one. So dates, they're not that important just like as a technical SEO aspect, but certainly if a user is clicking and trying to find information about a certain topic, they're not going to look at something if it's 6 years old. I actually don't put dates on my blog posts because I don't want people to know that maybe they're a couple months old and have them get turned off by that. And like I also need to go back and update them and make sure that all my links are accurate and relevant to what I've been talking about. what I would do instead of looking back is I would schedule them out, for like to roll out once a week or something, or once a month, depending on how many you've written, or once a day, whatever frequency you want to do. So date, not super important, but you do want to blog. And I love that you just segued into the next section, Katie. Let's look at blogging. Let's talk blogging and backlinks. All right, because I just said that anyone who wants to reach a national audience needs a blog, and I believe that local people really should blog as well, because it's just more content for Google to scan, and you want as much text out there on you, on your topics, on your keywords related to your website, on your website that you can. You're also established as a real thought leader in your industry, and it's an opportunity to show your customers, more of your skills and services and products. This one I've talked about before, the Bozeman Real Estate.group blog, and they, I don't know how big their content team is or who's writing all of these, but they are pushing out, 2-3 times a week, sometimes a multiple in a day, which again, fine, you don't have to worry about that. But they do such a wide variety of topics. Obviously now everyone's blogging about the virus, but look, there's also doing fun things to do while at home. I love what they're doing because they're not just talking about real estate, they're talking about the community that they sell real estate in. So it's providing information about the community for anyone who might want to move here. And again, showing them that they really know what they're talking about. They're a helpful resource, and they come up for so many terms related to Bozeman. It's awesome for them. Like I was searching best Bozeman happy hours. Well, they came up, and they don't have a happy hour. They're a real estate group. But just think about this in a way of what kind of subtopics can you cover in your blog that aren't necessarily exactly related, like exactly what you do. They don't just have posts about, buy this house or buy this house, or look at this new property that we have, or, they're not just talking about new developments or new condos in Bozeman. They have things about the community. So, brainstorm different things that you can cover that are kind of subtopics within your business. This is another one that I really, really like. Well, I like their product too, because it's wine. This company, it looks like they stopped blogging last summer. I hope that doesn't mean that they're out of business, but they sell glasses of wine in a box. So it's called Vine Box, and it comes in these cool containers. But they have, their blog is about, travel and wine, but they also give you little details about, why experts swirl their wine, how different types of wooden barrels affect your flavors. So this, obviously is still specific to what they're doing, but they're not like, drink our wine, drink our wine, drink our wine. They're writing about these topics within their industry and educating their audience. And then they can, share these links with people who maybe are like oak wood sellers, someone who's like, oh, I want to show people how oak barrels really influence wine. I'm going to link to this blog post about this topic. And what you want to remember when you blog is you want to write your own content. So there's a lot of copying and pasting out there, but don't do that because that's not going to be in your own voice. There's a lot of repurposing, which verges on copying and pasting, but put it in your own voice, put your own take on it. Definitely if you want to have videos are awesome. And there's something like 80% of the content we consume online now is via video. If you decide to do that, have a text version, either a summary of what you talked about, or you can upload your video. When you upload it to YouTube, you can actually download your captions and sort of restructure those. This is what I do, restructure all that text from the captions as a blog post. So Google can, pull in keywords, and then you can add in keywords as well. Again, 500 to 800 words. Your frequency is going to be once a month at least. Try to do it more if you can. Think about each post as a single, more detailed keyword. So instead of Bozeman real estate, it's, the buying process or about the community, or just something specific, but try to keep it to one topic per post. If you need ideas for your blog posts, go to answerthepublic.com. That's, it's a little bit odd, their interface. They have this weird video of like a guy who's gigantic right behind their search bar, but just type it in and it'll start generating ideas for you in terms of how people ask questions related to your topic. And then my last resource here for ideas, this is a tool that I use, Ahrefs. That's my SEO tool to look at keywords and track ranking and stuff. But this link, going to their Blogging for Business course, normally it costs $790. And because of the virus, they're offering it for free. It's phenomenal. It's 10 hours long, so it's a lot, but it is a really, really good course. All right, so then once you have all these great posts, Katie's gonna generate all this content this weekend. So then what is she gonna do? She's gonna, share it to her email subscribers. She's gonna post it on her social media. And if she has contacts, or even if she doesn't, she's gonna reach out to relevant bloggers and media outlets who might be interested in her topics. That's what's called backlinks. And backlinks are, like I said, a ranking factor in Google. The more backlinks that you can get to either your website or your blog posts, the better for you and the higher that you're going to rank for whatever terms are on those pages. Bonus points if you can get someone at .gov or .edu to link to your site. When you think about this, this whole topic is called your backlink strategy, and it's really about building relationships. So initially, you're probably going to start with a bunch of cold emails, right? And that'll be awkward, and you'll get a ton of no's, but just know that going in and just be super excited about the yeses that you do get. And hopefully over time, you build a relationship with other bloggers or, media outlets, and, they'll start looking at your stuff and start sharing it more regularly. But only reach out, only do those cold emails to truly relevant brands, or even if they're not cold emails, because someone who, runs a yoga studio isn't necessarily going to want to, post about the latest accounting software, right? And so that's just going to be a waste of their time. You want this to be a relationship. If you can share one of their links on your site, like reference that, if you're talking about the best accounting software out there, and you link to someone else's site, you can let them know. But just make sure that it's relevant to, what you're trying to share. You want it to, provide value to that person that you're talking to. Maybe it's a new thing, maybe it's updated content, right? Maybe you had an old blog and you updated that post and you want to share that. And like I said before, you just want to find those relevant people who are in your circle or who are in the same industry as you, or similar or complementary, so that you can both get value from this link. And if you offer to link to one of theirs, while you're saying, hey, I've got this great post up, that's another way to, kind of warm up that lead a little bit. I wanted to show you an example of one that I got recently. This woman I don't know, and she writes, the email is way too long. And so I'm literally scanning it because it's like, I'm Catherine from this. So I'm like, okay, I'm done. What do you want, Catherine? And she just says, oh, hey, we have an article titled this, Tips for Building an Email List of Financial Advisor Leads. that's a really long title. It's kind of confusing. I don't even understand what that is. So then she gives me a link to that, and then she sends me the Google Doc so I could copy and paste it and put it on my site. I didn't write it. That's kind of weird. That's a little sketchy to me. So I didn't reply to this email because I'm totally not interested, but this is definitely how not to do it, right? And she doesn't tell me what's in it for me, like what's the value that's being provided to my readers if I share this with them. She just says, we wrote an article. Okay, so what? So I said, no, thank you. Actually, I just didn't reply. So in addition to your blog backlinks, there are other types of backlinks. That's things like professional groups. Like Sky Oro has all of the members, listed out, and we all have our websites connected to our photos. And so it's not behind the login. Some professional groups will have, a list of all the members, but it's behind login. That's not going to be a backlink for you because Google can't see it because it's behind a password. You can add your website to online directories. A lot of free ones out there like Yelp. Side note, you're going to get a million emails from Yelp when you sign up for Yelp, but you can do that and then unsubscribe. Get on Yahoo, get on Bing. You should have your Google My Business page now. And then one thing that I've seen, because this is in .edu, is your alumni listings. So where you've gone to school. Again, if it's behind login, it's not going to help you, but some of them are public and it'll list your business to whomever comes to the site and does a search, but you're just worried about Google, and that Google will be able to see that. All right, so before we talk about tracking, and that's going to be super fast because we've got 10 minutes left, does anyone have questions about backlinks or getting your content out to other people? Blogging your backlinks.
We didn't have any come through the chat window, so I'll open it up on the phone.
All right, well, I'll keep going, and then we will wrap up with final questions. It's a short section because I've got some good news and I've got some not so good news. All right. So the not so great news is that if you want to track the rank of your website, where it falls, how you're improving on Google, right? Are you moving from page 2 to 1? Are you in position 3 or 5? You really have to pay for those. So that aspect, you're not going to be able to see. You can do it manually, right? You could Google your business, Google your terms every day and make a note of it somewhere where you are. But you really have to pay for that aspect. But there are several other things that you can do to track your success. So again, you can just search your keywords, see where you're falling. You can use your Google Search Console and check on those keywords that you're ranking for and what your position is. And then last but not least, you can use your Google Analytics account to see what the traffic, how the traffic has changed over time to your site. Google Analytics is like a whole course in and of itself, but there are many free resources online for how to learn how to set up Google Analytics and have it, track keywords and the traffic to your site. One note about that though is that even Google Analytics doesn't share all the information available about your site because they want you to pay for AdWords. So they're the closest to, getting all the data that you need, but they still don't share everything. All right, and then last but not least, don't forget to wait. I say at least 30 days here. You could see 3 to 6 months for changes to occur, but don't check it until you're 30 days out because you won't see any results. Any of the websites that I've listed here today are on my resources page for this course. It's bigpicturemarketing.co/SEO-yes, and I'll have Amanda send it out in a wrap-up email in case you don't feel like writing that down right now. So that is everything that I wanted to share with you in 2 hours about SEO. What questions can I answer for you guys? And I mean, if you want to, let's see, if you want to do it live, we can do it live. If you want to unmute yourself and just start asking, if people start going over each other, then we'll figure out another way.
I have a backlinks question, Amy.
Yes.
So I know that you can't have a website that's, your web pages need to be 50% different, right? So you wouldn't want somebody to like just totally repost. Would you want somebody to just totally repost your entire blog just the way it is, or would you need to change it up for them? Like,
right. That was a weird request that I got, because yeah, that exact same content in 2 places, that's a bad signal for Google. So, because it's like, how does it decide who is going to rank higher if it's exactly the same? So no, you want to change it as much as you can. And I think the 50% rule is true. I mean, I would just say, like, do something like radically different, like make it very unique from, you know, the other version that you have.
cool.
Any other questions? All right, well, if not, you guys, please feel free to email me. As you can tell, I get really excited about this topic, and I hope this was helpful. I would also love feedback. If you have feedback about this, if we spent too much on one section, not enough time, whatever, I want to get better at talking about this. I'm hoping to launch my own course sometime this year. And yeah, I really loved having some time with you today, and thanks for all of your great questions. I hope you guys have, you know, a great afternoon and you can get outside. Luckily, we can still get outside and stay 6 feet away from each other.
Amy, thank you so much. If you aren't seeing it in the chat, so many thank yous. You did that, laid that out very clearly, and it's just been very helpful for a lot of people. So now that we all have time at home, we can dig into this. We will send out, I'm actually going to send out the recording of this, as well as Amy, any of the links that you had a couple, like the link for the free blog course, as well as your website, and then any other links. If you want to just send them to me in an email, I can push them out to this whole group.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend. We appreciate you being here. And thank you so much, Amy. Very appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, you guys. Have a great weekend.
You as well. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.